Let's start with something simple. What is your favorite color?
My favorite color changes a lot. Right now it's like burnt orange, like terracotta, kind of the color of like the kind of red clay that you find in the ground.
That seems like there's a lot of thought put into that. Is there?
Somewhat. I think it's color and what draws me to color feels much more intuitive. It's usually based on the kind of color that I want to wear most, and that is like a color that I've been really drawn to putting on my body a lot lately. It feels really earthy. It feels like somewhere between red and brown, which both feel like really natural colors. And I think I'm really drawn to things that make me feel like very natural right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah. How would you describe natural in this context?
Natural being like of the earth, things that like resonate as earthly, either like aesthetically or in like feeling.
Um, Interesting. Um, do you have any favorite music? Any music you're interested in?
Yeah, I have a lot of music I'm interested in. I'd say my tastes usually lie. My tastes are all over the place, but what you would find me listening to on a day to day is somewhere probably in like the folk range of things. I'm really into folk and country and like indie folk music. My tastes usually lie somewhere within the decade of the 60s and 70s. A lot of Joni Mitchell, Joan Baez, some of the Beatles, Mamas and the Papas, the Velvet Underground, things like that.
You started with Joni Mitchell and Joan Baez. Is it because they are like singer songwriters or yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
In the last year, have been toying a little bit with music, um, and my inspirations are definitely like female singer-songwriters who have really strong voices. I think those are both two female artists who were really pivotal in the singer-songwriter genre.
When you say toying with music, can you elaborate?
Yeah, I joined a band last year with some of my friends, kind of like in a very unserious way. We started a punk band and started playing shows around town, and just kind of for fun. And in that, it was revealed to me through me that I am actually really into music as a practice, and I started teaching myself how to play guitar with this guitar I've had since I was a very little girl, and that's kind of always just been sitting around and not used, and so I have started using it. And I was traveling around Europe and America this summer, and I brought it with me everywhere I went for 3 months, and did a little songwriting, and it's been one of the like most exciting things in my life right now.
What was that moment that made you realize you were like into music?
I think I've secretly always been really into music. I'm a dancer by trade. That's what I've dedicated my whole life to. But if you were to hand me like two magic cards, and one was like be a really successful professional dancer, and one was to be a rock star, and I got to choose between either, I would choose being a rock star in a heartbeat. I really like the culture of music and the kind of culture of being a performer in music. My dad was a musician, and his dad was also a musician, and it just kind of feels like this thing that has always been a part of me that I've only recently started to entertain. And it feels really like when I'm doing it, like a piece of my soul that is on fire that has been waiting to be lit for a long time.
Gotcha. It's interesting you mentioned your dad. So on that note, do you feel that you are more a reflection of your dad or your mom?
Definitely my mom. I didn't really grow up with my dad. I mean, as a child, yeah, but my dad is like a pretty sensitive subject in my story. So I think that there are pieces of me that inherently reflect and music is one of them. And he's actually passed. He passed away 3 years ago, and music has been a way that I connect with him, which is really special.
Interesting. So you see more of your mom and yourself, though, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, definitely. I was raised predominantly by my mom, amongst many other mothers, but my mom and I are very, very close.
What are some, I don't know, personality features you find that she's passed on to you?
I think that she's really stubborn, and and she's a really good listener. I think that she has a way of making people feel like they can open up to her, and she gives really good advice. I think that she also takes no shit from anyone, and is really hardcore, and those are some of my favorite qualities that I see in myself that are from her, maybe minus the stubbornness.
Fair enough. You mentioned Europe previously a moment ago. If you could go on vacation anywhere, where would it be, and just describe the vacation?
Probably Thailand. I've spent a lot of time in Europe. I'm half German and have grown up in Europe, but I've never traveled to Asia or anywhere outside of Western Europe, really. So, yeah, I've always wanted to go to Thailand. It seems beautiful, and I like the food, and I know very little about it, and that feels really exciting to me. And I hear that it's fairly cheap to travel around Thailand once you get there.
Is learning about other cultures something you're really interested in?
Definitely. I'm innately curious, and so, like, traveling is a really fun way to exercise my curiosity. And I tend to feel really comfortable when I'm traveling, but again, like I said, because I'm usually traveling around Europe, and culturally that is a safe place to travel to, and I think I feel excited by traveling to places like Asia or South America, places that are really outside of my own cultural understanding, and yeah, that feels exciting to me because I think it challenges my perceptions of the world, and those are things that I'm interested in.
Gotcha. Is there any culture you've been focused on lately?
Like
Or anything really that you say you like to learn, you're innately very curious. Is there anything you've been like studying aggressively that's not like art or your work?
I would say, I don't know that I would say that I've been studying this, but I've been feeling a real gravitational pull towards like somatic work and body work, which is tied a lot to East Asian practices, like Chinese medicine, things like Qigong, practices like yoga, or other like somatic bodywork practices. I feel really drawn to right now, and have considered studying. Though I haven't like taken the leap to start studying, it feels like something that I feel really interested in, and feels like a really natural pathway from dance and being a body practitioner to kind of move into practicing healing work. Yeah.
When you say healing work, how would you describe that?
Like being in tune with other people and things that they're going through in their body, whether that be from physical or emotional trauma, and being able to work with those people and what they're working through and help aid that practice. I have participated in a lot of practices like that as a body practitioner on the receiving end, and have started toying with doing that on the giving end. I also have like a chronic injury that has required a lot of attention throughout my career in dance, and through that I've had to develop practices that are really hyper aware of like my back, for example, where my injury is. And so when people, friends, whoever, are like, oh, I'm really having this back pain, I can be really helpful and like, oh, I know these things you can do, or oh, let me like try these like pressure points to help release some of this tension you're holding. I like innately have an understanding of the body being a dancer, and also because I have this injury, I've had to work through a lot of pain, and like any other human have other like trauma. So I am really interested in trauma-based work in the body.
What draws you to dance at this point? I mean, it's one question of how you started, but I think what's keeping you going?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's one that I ask myself a lot. I've been doing it since I was 2 and never stopped. I did it intensely and then went to college for it and studied it another intense 4 years, and I'm now 2.5 years out of school and dancing the least that I ever have in my whole life, which I'm still dancing, but just not like 10 hours a day, like I used to. And it's a question that's come back to me a lot, where it's no longer this kind of mandated thing in my schedule. And so I come back to that question a lot of like, okay, I'm still doing it, but nobody's like enforcing this schedule on me. So what's keeping me there? What's drawing me to stay in the room? What's drawing me to go to these auditions and classes? And there's like people say, oh, I'm not here to make friends, but I actually am really here to make friends. I am showing up into the rooms because I really like connection, and I think that dance is an art form that inherently requires connection between the people that you're sharing space with. I think performance is so cool because it has to exist, or performance only exists when there's people there to watch also. So the performing arts, and dance especially, are inherently built on a connection between people who are performing and watching. And I think that the dynamic is so peculiar and weird and also beautiful. And I think that, connection is a big part of what draws me to it.
Is there a particular style of dance that you consider your favorite?
Yeah, I always use the umbrella term of contemporary because it feels easy, but that means so many things. I've trained in a lot of styles all my life, and contemporary for me these days means a lot of improvisation. I'm an improviser for sure. I like contact work. I like partnering. Really anything with touch is a lot of fun. Contemporary is really hard to define, which I think is also why I like it a lot, because like really anything could be contemporary dance at this point. And I think that's kind of fun.
Gotcha. Do you have any like favorite visual artists?
Yeah. Maybe like, I guess she's more of a performer too.
Give me a performer. Give me.
Like I'm trying, like we're going like non-dancer, right? Like Yoko Ono is a favorite artist of mine.
So like the Flux and stuff?
Yeah. Really into the Fluxus stuff. Patti Smith is also a really big inspiration to me. I really like artists who aren't just one thing. You know? Like there's a lot of dance artists I really like who really inspire me, like like classics like Pina Bausch and like Trisha Brown. Like those people are obviously all really inspiring, but I think when I think about like who my favorite artists are, people like Yoko and Patti are really cool to me, because they're performers and they're also musicians, which is cool, but they're also like poets and visual artists, and I think I'm really into artists who are more than one thing. But those two are big inspirations to me, and they're also both like super punk rock, and I think I really like that.
They're also both poets. Are you into like poetry? Is like a favorite favorite literary form that you're interested in, or is there other literary forms ones you're more interested in? Do you have a favorite author? Let's go with that.
I love poetry. Honestly, I think that writing was maybe my first love even before dance. I've been dancing obviously since I was very little, but like writing is something that even as a child I spent a lot of time doing. It's something I'm a little more disconnected from these days, to be honest. But I've like kept a journal since I was 8 years old or something. Like I still journal, you know. But poetry, it's something that's always really spoken to me, which has been fun because I've been trying to translate that love into songwriting now, which is really hard, but really fun. No, I love writing. I love reading. It's something I'm trying to give more time to. Patti Smith is a favorite author for sure. Joan Didion also. I love her. Yeah.
Those are two quite different writers. What draws you to Joan?
I think I like Joan for a lot of reasons. I think I appreciate her as such a kind of strong voice, especially for her time. And I think that her voice and her art, while she is obviously like a woman and she is a beautiful woman, but I think that her writing kind of leaned away from inherently needing to be really feminine or fit into the mold of like what being a female artist in her time was. I think that she's cynical, and her writing, like the stories she tells are kind of sad also, and that's a hard thing to lean into, and I think that she does. The first thing of hers that I ever read was Play It As It Lays, and I read it while I was traveling in Europe a couple summers ago, and it was such a beautiful depiction of Los Angeles also, and I think that really drew me to her, is that she was like, you know, a California girl, and she wrote about LA and California in these really special ways that made me kind of fall in love with where I lived again, and made me, at the time I was in Sicily, and I was really excited to go back to LA after reading Play It As It Lays. So I think that there's something kind of fun about an author, and then Patti obviously is known for like writing about New York, and I think that there's something kind of fun about an author kind of representing a place also, in the way that like a song could really represent a place. I always feel really attached to work that makes me feel a certain kind of nostalgia for a place.
You sound like a proud Angelina. What are some things you like and don't like about the city?
That's a good question. I don't know that I would refer to myself as an Angelina. I've lived here like 6 years, though I think that is a term that is definitely reserved for people who are from here. I'm a through and through transplant, and I will own that. But I do love LA. It's a city that it pulls and it pushes, and it's hard. And it's not easy. It's not for the weak. And things I love about LA are that it's so big. I feel like compared to most cities, it doesn't feel like we're being like suffocated underneath one another. I feel like there's space to breathe and to move, even if it takes a long time to get from place to place in your car. At least there's space to go. I think LA is beautiful. We're surrounded by mountains, and especially this time of year, after all the rain, it's so green. The beach is so close. I like that LA is a city where you can go from neighborhood to neighborhood and feel like you're in a different place. The people are really nice. I was, as a dancer, as most artists from Middle America do, you have the age-old debate of, do I go to LA or do I go to New York? And I was really torn between the two in high school, and what ended up selling me on LA was that I, was a girl coming from the South, where everybody says bless your heart and offers you sweet tea, and everyone in LA was so nice. I really like that. And things I don't like about LA are the traffic. Classic answer. I don't know if this is specific to LA, but I've just spent most of my young adulthood in LA, and so I associate some of the culture as being like really non-committal. Like it's really hard to get myself and others to like commit to a plan. It's like you see there's like the classic like, oh, let's get together for coffee sometime kind of thing that you say to people when you see them, and or like, oh yeah, we really should get together this week, and that. And again, I don't know if that's just a part of like growing up a little bit, but I don't really know anything else at this point. So it feels like there's like an element of being a little non-committal here. The no public transportation thing, I mean, I know, don't get me wrong, I know there's the bus and such, but the public transportation isn't like a part of the culture here. It's like quite weird for a city. I think it can make it feel really isolating. I lived in Berlin for a year and got to use public transportation for the first time as like my main mode of transport, and it was during the pandemic, and so we were in lockdown obviously, and the only time I would ever see people was on the subway. And so I got really infatuated with the subway and would just like spend a lot of time there, like sitting on the train even when I had nowhere to go. Because there's just something about being around people that feels like you're not alone, especially in a time, during the pandemic when we thought we were all really alone. So I think that there's something really isolating about LA sometimes because of that, because we're all just kind of sitting in our cars. Sometimes I like make a point when I'm in traffic to like look at people in their cars because it's like we're here together, we're having a shared experience, but you don't get to like experience that as much on the 101, the 10. Fuck the 10, hate the 10. But that's just me.
It's funny you mentioned public transportation. It was the train horn in the background.
I know. It's there.
Yeah.
It's there. But yeah.
No, totally. Do you have a favorite drug? Drug of choice?
Yeah. Probably ketamine. Yeah.
Any particular reason why ketamine?
It's really, I mean, obviously in moderation, it's easy to do. Like I also really love MDMA, but MDMA is only something you can do like once a year, kind of a thing. It's not a casual drug, and ketamine is kind of to me, feels like it can be a casual drug if used responsibly, obviously. And like, other than maybe feeling a little spacey, I rarely, obviously, unless I do far too much, I don't ever really feel like hungover after doing it. That's always kind of a nice thing.
Yeah, hangovers suck. That's for sure. If you can live anywhere in LA, where would you live?
That's a hard question. It's so big. There's like that comes with so many follow-up questions. Like at this very moment, like the thing about LA is that you have to decide where you're gonna live based on where your life is, because it's like if you live in Santa Monica but you work in Highland Park, you're gonna have a horrible time. You're gonna spend all your time driving.
A fantasy, no strings attached. You can just live wherever you want to live in LA. Like you have the life you want to live there.
Okay, probably like Venice or something, or like over by the beach, or like if like money wasn't a thing, like live in Malibu, or like just somewhere like close to the beach that's also kind of beautiful. I mean, everywhere has its caveat, but I have a friend who moved back to Venice recently, and I got to daydream a little bit about what it would feel like living 2 blocks from the beach, which seems like it would be really nice.
What's the difference between, say, like Venice and like South Bay?
I don't know. I don't know South Bay.
Okay, fair enough.
But okay, I take it back. I have a different answer.
Okay.
Topanga.
Topanga Canyon?
Topanga Canyon. That
Okay.
would be where I would choose.
Why?
Also assuming that I wouldn't be at risk of a flood or a fire anytime soon.
You can live in a
We're-
mansion in the hills.
We're living in fantasy land here. I would choose Topanga because Topanga is cool. It was like it's very historic in terms of music.
Yeah.
It's where a lot of musicians lived back in the day. It's really beautiful. It's close to the beach. I think that Topanga would fulfill a fantasy for me if I had to choose my fantasy place to live.
Okay. Alright. This being LA, do you have a favorite movie, a favorite director?
favorite director, I'm not like a movie buff in that way. But I always do, when it comes to favorite movie, I always do Desert Island, which is that, like, if you were trapped on a desert island and you could only watch like 3 movies for the rest of your life, what would they be?
Mm.
I'm not a movie buff. These are not super artistic, cool choices, but these are my Desert Island movies are Across the Universe, which is a Beatles musical. And if you haven't seen it, it's really good, especially if you're a Beatles fan, which I am. And Howl's Moving Castle, really beautiful. Let's see, the third one, Kill Bill Volume 2.
Yeah. Who's your favorite Beatle?
That answer has changed a lot over the years. It used to be George Harrison, because I am a hippie at heart, and that used to really speak to me. But it is Paul McCartney, actually, these days, because I think that he had the best solo music, in my opinion.
And now that you're a singer-songwriter, like, I don't care about their personality. I want their songwriting talent is what I care about.
Totally. And I feel like Paul was one of the more unproblematic Beatles, though, I don't know, maybe somebody would fight me on that. I think that is true for the most part. But yeah, his solo album, Ram, which is the first solo album he made out of the Beatles. He actually started recording it when he was still with the Beatles and then kind of released it when he left. And it's all about like his journey of leaving the band, leaving the city, and kind of going off to live in the country with his wife and their child, and that making a kind of like beautiful, slower life for himself, and recuperating after this long journey of being with this obviously really successful band. And the music is really cool. It has the quirk of the Beatles, but it's in his voice clearly, and it's really beautiful. There's a song on the album called Heart of the Country, which is one of my all-time favorite songs.
Gotcha. It's interesting you're not drawn to movies so much. It's being a dancer. Does acting not bridge the expressive gap for you? Do you have like stage performances you're really interested in, or is it just like, I like dance and that's physicality in my mind? Or...
Yeah, I don't know. I like acting, and like when I see a really moving piece of theater, I'm definitely here for it. I think I just have a really particular taste when it comes to acting in like a theater context. In a movie context, I don't I don't watch a lot of like good movies or good TV. When it comes to like consuming media like that, I am very into like nostalgia, and I very rarely watch something I haven't seen before. I really like rewatching the same things. It's very comforting to me. My partner and I watch a lot of TV together, and that's something that we really like to do at the end of the day, to like turn off. And yeah, so that's like a big part of what TV and movies are for me. But I don't know. I wouldn't say that I don't like theater. I do. I have a lot of theater making friends who I think are really brilliant. I've seen a lot of really brilliant theater. I think I just am such a performance buff that sometimes if performance is too performative, it doesn't resonate with me anymore. It becomes a little cheesy. And so I'm much more into like conceptual or experimental theater for that reason. But I really like dance theater, if you're familiar with that. It's like a kind of hybrid of dance and theater that is really like physical acting, or clowning is often a form of dance theater. Things like that I'm really into. I think I just am generally, when it comes to performance, into abstracting norms. But when it comes to movies, I just, either maybe I have poor taste, or just I really like what I like, and it's usually just nostalgia.
Gotcha. You mentioned your partner. How did you two meet? And how did you know this is your partner? I assume you're about to get married. You've been together for a fairly long time. Yeah, describe the connection there and how you guys met.
Yeah, my partner's name is Mandy. They are amazing. we met in school. We were in the same class. And we went to Cal Arts, and we were both in the dance school together. And Cal Arts is a very small school, and so our class, our cohort in the dance school was only 16 people, so it's pretty intimate as is. And we were very good friends for a long time, and then over time developed feelings and attraction towards one another, and fought that off for a long time. And we kind of have this whole saga that we went through of kind of being together and then not together and fighting off feelings for one another. And I was in a different relationship too, and that was all kind of mixed up in that. And we, college is a really intense time, and I was going through pretty intense things in my personal life during that time too. And eventually, kind of towards the end of our schooling, it just became so dire that we had to be together, and we were. And it was kind of like one of the most magical seals breaking, there was we rode on this tension between us for so long of knowing and also not knowing and being confused, and which is pretty common inside of sapphic relationships, is we're best friends but also we're in love. And but it's really special. We've been together almost 3 years, but we always say that it's more like 6 because we were in love for so long. They just are so special, and we're similar in all the right ways, but also so different, and they really balance me. I have a lot of fire in me, and they really tend to that fire and keep it calm. And I think that I give them a little bit of fire too when they need it. I think that we are a really perfect balance for one another, and I think that we've developed a really healthy relationship, especially at the ripe age of 25. It's I've never experienced the kind of love that I feel for them, where I never get tired of it, I never question it, it never grows weary, it only grows more every day, and that's I mean that, it's crazy. I feel pretty lucky to have them.
You sound pretty lucky. On a more lighthearted note, you're free to not answer this question, but do you have any sexual fetishes you're willing to share?
I don't think so. Nothing super out of the ordinary besides I don't know, forms of exhibitionism. But that's nothing crazy, I'm a performer. I feel like that's not a surprise.
So you like watching exhibitionism or being watched as an exhibitionist?
Being watched.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a performer, of course.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. I think I know what I'm going to make. One question I do explicitly ask is, what size do you want this painting, so I don't make a painting too small or too large for you?
I don't know. I don't think you could make it too large. I don't know what large would mean though. But I'm super open to whatever is within your capacity or whatever you're envisioning.
Okay, excellent. If you had your dream house in Topanga Canyon, where would you hang this painting?
Above the mantle, obviously.
Mantle. Would you still entertain a lot? Would you consider yourself entertaining? That's going to be something you do throughout your life. I know it's something you do right now, but you're still trying to get away from that.
I think that I think that I was put on the earth to bring people together.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's something I've really learned about myself in the last couple of years, especially through the project that I described, which is that I like host people in my home and I put on shows in my home and I've made my home into a public space. It's a project that's worn its time and it's worn me a little bit, but I think that I can see myself even into my old age being a host or a space holder, somebody who brings people together, whether that be just like hosting dinners or holidays in my home, or putting on shows in my house, or just having friends over. I think that I was meant to bring people together. So whether that be here in my downtown LA loft or in my dream home in Topanga, I think I will always bring people together in some way.
Yeah, excellent. I think that will suffice. Shut this down.